All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Tiny But Mighty podcast, episode 5. We have Laura McLean with us, the founder of Small Business Moms. I'm so excited for you to get to know her. Here we celebrate small businesses exclusively, and she also celebrates small businesses exclusively. So in 2016, she had a brick and mortar and was feeling the isolation of entrepreneurship, which we have seen time and time again through all of the interviews that we've had. And I think that it's a pretty ubiquitous experience for most entrepreneurs, especially with the smallest of businesses. And she sought to actually solve that instead of just sitting inside of it, which is what prompted her starting Small Business Moms. She has a multitude of different programs that are designed to fit entrepreneurs within their lifestyle, how much time they have, and how much money they can actually put into some of these programs, whether you're looking to expand your social media or you're looking to build your tribe and have an accountability partner or multiple partners inside of a group with a mastermind on its way and in progress, hopefully to drop soon. She has a lot of exciting things going on. I am so excited for you to meet her. I'm going to bring her up on the stage now. Uh-oh. Hi, Laura. Uh-oh, I think I lost you. Hello?
Okay, are you there?
Yes, I am.
I don't know what just happened. Are we live?
Yes, we are. Yes.
All right, technical difficulties. Everything just shut down. I have no idea what happened.
Oh no, my goodness. Oh, I don't know. Maybe you want to exit and then come back. Maybe that helps. I don't know. Turned off.
Oh, did it turn off my camera?
Yes. Okay, so while we are waiting, I want to make sure that I mention all of her socials are at Small Business Moms on TikTok. She also has at i.am.Laura McLean, and that would get you to the right place as well. I do want to edit this title actually because that is a misspell in here, so I want to make sure I fix that. All right. I'm not really quite sure why every time I try to spell her name, it was trying to get me Lauren instead of Laura in Canva. It's been a wild ride here. So spelling matters when you're going to get the right person on social media for sure. Oh, perfect. She's back. Let's see if we can get this to work for that.
Oh, there we go. I have no idea what happened over here.
Well, it's smooth this time. I'm so happy that you joined us. Thank you so much.
Sorry about that. I have no idea what happened.
No worries. All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What was the business that you owned before you started this business? What brought you to that small business before this one? What's your story that leads you here today?
Well, I think I even before the business I'm about to tell you about, I think I knew I had a really like the entrepreneurial spirit about me. Like I always knew that I wanted to do something on my own. But I in 2015 I started a boutique, and 2016 in 2015 I had my youngest son. In 2016 I started the boutique, and it was a brick and mortar, and it was in downtown on our main street in Farmington, Missouri. And I just realized during all of that, like just how hard it was to have these kids at home, start this business, which felt like another kid in itself. And I had all these questions. I didn't know just like how shipping, like what were the best prices, how to build a website, how to do all of these things. And I just felt like there was probably other women in the same boat as me. And at that time, I didn't know of all these communities. There weren't all these communities like there are now. And so I eventually built one. Like it came out of a need for myself. Like I wanted to surround myself with other people that were trying to do the same thing. Like I kind of felt alone in this situation. And it turned into, I mean, it just grew beyond my wildest dreams. Small Business Moms just kind of exploded. So it was just very clear that I was not the only one that felt that way.
Absolutely. Definitely proves that the market needed you. So what did you want to be when you grow up when you were 7 years old? What was little Laura interested in?
Oh man, probably a teacher, which I guess to an extent that I am teaching social media today. I mean, that's kind of what I do. I am trying to teach small business owners how to use, like grow online. But I would say probably more than anything else, a teacher.
That's amazing. I love that you did get there, but it just looks a little different than maybe you thought.
Yeah, but I'd like to say I'm very multi-passionate. So there have been a lot of things. There still are. I mean, all the time. So.
Yeah. And it's interesting, being a multi-passionate person, I think is prerequisite to truly enjoying entrepreneurship because of the number of hats that you have to wear.
Yeah, for sure.
So what was the last straw in that entrepreneurial space, in the brick and mortar, that really pushed you to start Small Business Moms and set out in that direction?
I got burnt out. I was working too hard. I wasn't taking care of myself. I think that's why I think that happens with so many people. I'm big on like personal growth and self-care now. And that's because I let myself get so burnt out, stressed out, overwhelmed. It was not a good situation. And I think a lot of people do that. It's hard to think about taking care of yourself when, you got to make the money. And that takes priority. So our motto is you got to take care of yourself before you can take care of business. And I do believe that because I lived it.
Yeah, I definitely struggle with that personally. It's hard because the number of hours that you could dedicate to the business and the amount of, I don't know, self-chastising that goes along with rest and relaxation when you know that there's a million other things that you could be doing. That's definitely a huge challenge, but your page really addresses that. I love how much your content on Instagram really focuses around that, not just the piece of talking about the business, but talking about self-care.
Yeah.
Very important. So how is this morphed from what the original idea is to today? What was the journey from where it started?
Oh, I mean, it's taken a lot of journeys, but I think not a lot of journeys, but it's went in several different directions. And I think that's a good lesson in itself, is that nothing, don't be afraid to start and don't think you have to have it all planned out because it's going to change with time anyway. Action brings clarity for sure. Start taking action and you'll start getting more clear on what you want. But my original idea was a membership, and that is what I'm doing now. It just looks a little bit different. I focus a lot more on like social media and marketing than just all areas of small business. But it's still, I mean, the idea was a membership, and that's where we are today. So
that's awesome. Now, where did you hone all of those skills for the social media marketing and everything?
Well, you learn a lot on your own. I mean, you learn a lot when you have to run a business because you got to learn how to do it. Social media is part of the game now, which is what so many people struggle with in like my world, is that they started a business because they wanted to, be a photographer. They have this passion that they loved, or they wanted to start a boutique because they loved fashion, or they have these things they want to do because they're passionate about it. And they didn't know anything about social media and didn't realize that that is so much of what goes into it these days. And especially if you're trying to grow online. And so I learned a lot from doing it myself. And I was in for my own business, but I was also in roles before that allowed me to, I always say, like, I was one of the first on Facebook. I mean, that was like, I was in college when Facebook came out for college students. And before that, it was MySpace. And, I went through all the different, and so, so I was trying to help on social media. Like I did like programming, like special events and programming in my area. So even before I owned my own business, I was diving into that. And then after I had my business, I mean, I've done social media marketing for a lot of organizations, a lot of businesses, and you name it. I've done, lawyers, and I've done restaurants, I've done shops, I've done, I've done a lot of different industries.
That's amazing. What would you say is the biggest challenge in terms of the social media piece?
I think that one of the biggest challenges, really, I mean, I hate to be the one that says mindset, but you got to change the way you think about it a little bit. And these are still real people on the other end of that. And it's just hard. People want the followers, and even more than, like, I just did a call on that today, more than I try to talk about emails and just how important collecting email addresses are. But there's just something about the number of followers, and we get hung up on that, and we want those followers. And, more important than that is, well, one, we need sales also. Two, those are real people. They're not just a number in our follower account. We need to build relationships with them. We got to communicate with them. And it's just not the only thing that matters. And I get it. I was there too. I've done it myself, but we got hung up on that number of followers, and really there's a lot more to it than that.
Okay, that's really good to know. That's awesome. So overall, for entrepreneurship, what would you say is the hardest part of it?
Balance, trying to do it all, especially I would say if you're a newer entrepreneur and you don't have a team or anybody working for you, and you're trying to juggle all the roles on your own.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite part, though?
The people, for sure. The community. I mean, that's how it all got started. That's the core of everything. That's what I'll teach you. That's everything. I get lit up. I just got off a call with our group. We call them the business bestie calls, and I get fired up. I mean, when it's over, I'm sweating. My throat hurts, and I'm just like, whoo. And so it's just a lot of fun. I love the people.
That's awesome. So the business bestie thing I actually saw on your Instagram earlier today, is that anybody can come, or is that for your subscribers to a specific part of things?
Yeah, it's in the Let's Be Social membership. So they get to watch me every week. We get on a call, and they get to watch me build another social media platform from the ground up. So I started with 0 followers, and every week we get on a call to talk about what I did to grow that week.
That's awesome. I love that. So a lot of us have like nonprofit thoughts or side missions that we want to be able to support with what we're doing. It's not just about the art. You also want to donate to something else. Do you have a cause that you feel like you're supporting through your work?
Not at the moment. I always did, and that's part of I teach about that too. It's called Be the Good, and especially in if not especially, I shouldn't say that, it works well for everybody, but for brick and mortars, like whenever you team up, it's also great marketing for you to get foot traffic into your door whenever you're teaming up with good causes in your area. I am working on it, and I haven't put that out into the world yet, but it is something that's coming soon, to partner with a cause that's important to me.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. I'm excited to see it. If you could change anything about setting up a business, or the way that business functions, or the way that social media functions, I give you a magic wand and you could change it. Doesn't matter if it was a law, and you don't have to worry about any barriers. What would it be, and how do you change it?
Oh man, that's a tough one. And I don't know. Before you finish your question, what popped into my head, I didn't know where you were going with it, was, so this is a little far off from what you're saying, but if I could change anything about what I've done, start with a CEO mindset before anything else. Start asking yourself the questions earlier on, what would a CEO do? Because you just run things differently, and you do things different when you're looking at the big picture, whether it be investing in yourself, or, investing in your business, or, would you rather yes, I can build a website myself, but which one would it be better to have a website designer do it for me, where I can spend time over here selling and making, getting, doing what I need to be doing. And so just like having that mindset from like an earlier, like it's a hard thing to do. Like it's, especially whenever you're just starting out and you're, you know, you're not making the money or bringing in the sales yet, and you're just getting started. I think that's hard to do. I think it's a really hard thing to do. But I think the sooner you do it and the sooner you start believing in yourself and investing in yourself and your business, things start moving a whole lot quicker. But as far as just like how things are done right now, I mean, the spammers, like I reach millions of people every month. They suck the joy straight out of my soul. So yeah, I wish more than anything something could be done about that, because they're making something good that brings connection to people and, you know, helps teach people and helps small business owners. And I can't even hardly post without having to deal with it. So I wish I could get my magic wand, and that's what I would take care of.
Agreed. I would love to give you that magic wand, because I find that the Meta Suite is the worst in terms of the number of bots and spammers, and then they're in your private messages telling you that your page is getting ready to take taken down because it's on its last strike and stuff. Yeah. And I have an itty bitty following in comparison to yours, so I can't even imagine. It's just got to be excruciating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Meta, if you're listening, once this is finally published, that would be fantastic if you would address that. Thank you. So I love that you actually answered the next question. Advice for somebody starting out is to start out with that CEO mindset. Mm-hmm. But then how do you do that on a budget? I guess is really, because a lot of people are bootstrapping their businesses. They're doing it as their side hustle while they're still, you know, paycheck to paycheck for the most part. How do you do that when you're on a budget?
Well, I think that goes back to the mindset. You don't necessarily have the money yet, you know, but there's so many things you can do that if you just, mindset is everything. It really is everything. If you don't, I tell my kids this all the time. I could give you an entire business master course on the lessons I try to teach my kids on a daily basis. And a lot of it is stuff that I wish I would have known when I was so much younger, that I didn't learn until, you know, recent years. So that's why I try to drill it into them all the time. But like my son, for example, just when he goes out to, you know, play a sport and he's got that negative attitude, I'm like, listen to me. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that you can do this. I'm not saying that if you go out there with that attitude and that mindset that you're going to win every time. That's not what I'm saying. You're not going to win every time. You are going to lose. You're going to fail. But if you don't believe in yourself, you're not even giving yourself a chance. So we go into this all the time with this. I can't do it. I'm not going to make the money. I suck at this. I tell my social media membership that all the time. Let's start there. Like, stop telling me how bad you suck at it. Stop telling me that you're bad at social media. Stop telling me you can't do it. Stop talking that way. Let's start there. And I think that, I mean, it's a powerful thing once we, you know, it's not that woo-woo. Like everybody, you know, they think that's all like whatever, you know, they want something tangible. And I'm like, just trust me on this one. Like, give yourself, just change the way you talk and change the way you think for a month and see what happens. Yeah. So that's before anything else, start there. I would say, start believing that that anything's possible for you, that you can do this, that you deserve this.
I love that. It feels like a little bit of delusional goes a long way.
Yeah. I would like to say, I also had nobody listening to me. I also had crickets. I try to tell them that all the time. I would post and nobody, like my mom would respond. And I would be like, okay, like you're like, this is embarrassing, you know, but I reach millions of people today. If I would have quit, I wouldn't have that today. And so every month, anywhere from 5 to 15 million people I reach, you know, my content reaches. If I would have quit because it was crickets for a while, because I didn't have engagement, because it, you know, you got to start somewhere. You got to be a beginner and you got to let yourself be a beginner.
That's amazing. So, how long was that curve overall for you before you really started to see traction?
Well, I would say I spent 6 months of it being pretty quiet. I cannot even remember what first kind of went crazy, but I just kept trying. And that's anybody I follow that does anything similar. They all had to go through that. It's weird and embarrassing. And you're like, who do I think I am to be this person giving advice or this, we all have imposter syndrome, especially in the beginning. But nobody wants to, everybody's scared. And I get that, but you gotta like get past the fear, realize you're going to fall on your face a few times. That's why you asked me the other day, we talked the other day and you said, I won't ask you about like what was the most embarrassing thing. And I'm like, just go for it. Throw it at me. Because if I am not honest with the people, like if I pretended like this was easy, I still struggle with this stuff all the time. If I pretended like this was all easy, then nobody else is going to, I'm not leading the way for anybody. But if I can be like, yeah, I fell on my face too. I failed and then I got up and then I failed, but then I got up and I over and over. And eventually you're every time you get a little further and a little further. I think that's just a really important lesson to, let yourself start small. Don't be afraid to be a beginner. Keep going, keep failing, fail forward, all those things. I think you'll get there. You just can't give up because it's going to get hard. It's going to get hard and it's going to suck.
Wow. So, okay, let's go right into the embarrassing moment then, because why not? Is it the most embarrassing post or an embarrassing moment?
I don't even know. I did not even plan one out because I can tell you so many. I mean, I can tell you so many times that I was like, oh my God. Last week I sent an email that said, lick here, like lick instead of click here. I mean, to thousands of people, thousands. And then my very first podcast, I was a nervous wreck. I'm always in a hoodie. My hair is always in a bun. It's who I am. I'm in yoga pants right now. I have a heated blanket over the top of me. I got my Stanley here. They're all moms. Everybody's at home with their kids trying to make it all work too. And I decided I'm not going to pretend to be like somebody I'm not, because that's what my whole thing is like based off of. But I'm about to record my very first podcast and I am dressed up and I've got my hair curled and I'm like ready and I'm ready to go. And I was interviewing Ashley Alderson with the Boutique Hub. And I love her and she is a mentor of mine. And I was in the Boutique Hub when I had my boutique and I just have always looked up to her and I loved what she built. And I needed her to be my first guest. Like she had to be. I had a whole list of podcast guests, but Ashley had to be the first. And I watched what she built and I wanted the same thing. So I don't really know what I'm doing. I've never been a podcaster before. It's my first one. And even with that, I still think, well, because Small Business Moms is so big, this needs to be perfect from the get-go, but because that's how we think. And so I'm like, I'm ready. I'm fired up. I'm going to interview and this is going to be amazing. And on top of just stuttering and, I'm, because I'm nervous, we're halfway through. I bet we recorded for an hour and 15 minutes. I'm halfway through and I scream. I'm like, oh my God, she's in the middle of a sentence. On this podcast, I yell. I never hit record. I'm first podcast and I don't hit record. It was a disaster. We had to start all over. I don't remember it. From that point on, I was so distracted. I could not believe that's what I had done. I mean, it's, but we finished it and that was their first podcast. The second podcast, another lady, I look up to her. And it happened just like what happened to you and I a while ago, which I don't know what happened just now. That the last time that happened is my second podcast. But I don't know why it shut off just now, but I ran over my cord. It unplugged my computer and the whole thing shut down in the middle of that podcast. So there's two podcasts in a row where I'm on with people that I admire, that I look up to, and I was a disaster. And then, oh my gosh, so many live videos. that like it stops you. You know what I mean? It grabs that clip of you. And I'm making like, I was going to send it out. I was actually going to send it out in an email of like embarrassing things that have happened. You're like, you're like paused on the screen making like the dumbest faces all the time. Those are everywhere. Just like, man, launches that I've put out that I thought were going to do amazing that have just failed. And just, I mean, so many things. So many things.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And by the way, where can you find your podcast? What is the name of your podcast?
It's not out right now. It's being rebranded.
Oh, okay. Got it. Perfect.
That was She Is Unstoppable. So, I mean, that's a lesson in itself for anybody else, but it was, I loved it. Loved it. Loved interviewing those women. It was amazing, but I've got, I had to really focus on my priorities and what I'm trying to accomplish. It took a lot of time. We were doing, like I said, hour-long interviews, and they all had to be edited. And then the scheduling with another person, you know what went on between you and I just to get ready for this? It was so much. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like there's part of me that's like, oh, at least once a month, maybe, because I was trying to do weekly, but I'm rebranding and all of my content's going to be real short, actionable tips, like we're busy moms and business owners. I want like easy to digest, short, actionable content. So I think the new podcast will just be me, and I'm not editing them. It's going to be very like, hey, this is it. Like, I mean, just like, again, today, you and I can't help that my computer, I have no idea what just happened. No idea. And that sucks. And I'm sure that's awkward for you, but like, this is life. And if we didn't, just tell everybody that like, this is how it is, but it's not the end of the world. Like this podcast is going to be just fine. And my podcast was just fine, and life goes on, and everybody does it. We're all human. You're not going to get where you want to go if you don't try, and if you're not willing to fail at it first.
Yeah. Well, and that's really it. When you do try, there will be these moments that are going to come up, and they're going to be silly or embarrassing, but leaders adapt. And that's really what you are as an entrepreneur. You are a leader. Mm-hmm. You're a leader of your small sphere of influence and yourself, truly. So thank you so much for sharing all of those, because really Instagram and social media in general has led a lot of people to feel like only the happy, shiny things exist. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really that we've seen the research, obviously it's not just my thought, but it's led to a lot more perfectionism, which is very crippling for people when they are getting started, because they feel like if they're not already taking those leaps, they're not good enough. So all of this is so valuable to people who are just getting started. So thank you.
Yeah. On social media, I really try. I think there are a lot in people in my field that it's like, oh, I hung out at the beach all day today, and the money's rolling in, and it works, and I get why they do it. But I also think it's a little unfair, because they're not telling the part about how hard it was. And I think a good balance of both is like you can put in these passive and recurring income streams. You can have these courses, you can grow your business, you can, do like all these different things. You can do these things to make money and then go sit at the beach, and the money does keep coming in. But I think it would be really important to tell these people how hard it was to get there, because then they start it and they don't if we as leaders don't pass on how hard it was, everybody else is going to try it and not understand why they failed or why it wasn't so easy for them. And they're going to feel like failures, or they're going to give up. So I think it's really important to be like, no, this was hard. It was not overnight. There was no overnight success. And, like just be real honest about that side of things.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if customers could take away one thing about you, and I guess we should define who your customer is. Your customer is a small business owner, theoretically, and a woman in business, correct?
Yeah, my ideal customer is a small business mom.
Perfect.
That's in my name.
If they could take away one thing about you, what would it be? If you could boil down just like one line, if your customer could see this hour-long interview and take away just one thing about you, what would you hope it would be?
it's not even about me. Just believe in yourself. Like it does. It starts with mindset before anything else. I do all that. I'm not just preaching it. Like I practice gratitude and journal. I read every day to learn something new. I try to get myself out of my comfort zone. Do something that scares you today. Like go live. And you might be scared to go live today, but I promise you it's easier than whenever you start growing and you have a bigger audience. So do it now. Like do these things. Just believe in yourself and make yourself a priority, and don't give up on your dreams.
I love that. That's amazing.
I think so I say this a lot, and I think this is very important. I can teach you social media. I'm confident that I can teach you social media today, right now. Like I could give you 10 tips to grow on social media without thinking twice about it. But I can teach you to make a reel. Like I can be like, here's how to make a reel on Instagram. But I can't teach you to get behind the camera and have the confidence in yourself. I can't teach you to overcome that fear. I can't teach you to have the belief in yourself that you deserve that. And so often with anything, it's anybody can learn how to set up a podcast or how to grow on social media or how to start an email list or how to, whatever the case may be, anything, how to do the shipping, how to do all these things that I told you I didn't know how to do in my first business. But you can learn that. But I think often what is holding people back is just their mindset. It's themselves. It's, it's never that they can't figure out how to do a reel. That's just what they think they need. What they need is to face their fear of getting behind the camera. What they need to do is show up and to do it scared and realize that confidence doesn't come from, you're never going to just be confident. You got to be courageous, and then confidence will come. And you're not going to be confident unless you start doing it.
Oh, I love that. And I've heard confidence or bravery defined as being afraid of something and doing it anyway. And that's really what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And showing up for yourself because you're worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know that you've expanded. You do have employees at this point, right?
Wait, I have a team member.
How has that experience been expanding into now having somebody on your team?
It's been amazing. This goes back to the CEO mindset. So I have a team member that does the customer service side of things. And then I have ambassadors that help they get free access to my programs and everything in exchange for certain things. They help with like my groups, and they help with engaging with different people, helping to answer questions and that kind of thing. And the customer service side of things was tough for me. That was not it's not that I want great customer service, but it was personal to me. Like, so in a membership every month, no matter what membership you have, you're going to have people whose payments fail, not necessarily because the money's not there, for a number of reasons. People's cards expired or people cancel. That's very personal to me. Very. And even though I needed it to not be personal, I don't, but to not see that, to have something between me, now there's a block there. I can't see that stuff anymore. So now there's somebody there, because I can go in with a high mindset, be high vibe, ready to take on the world. And then I see that and I drop down because I'm like, instead of focusing on all these good things I'm going to do for my members, I'm like, what happened there? Why did that member leave? And so that goes back to that mindset of being like, it's so much better for me, for my business, for our members, for everybody, if I don't see all of that every day. So to figure those things out, like what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, and what needs to be in front of you every day? What do you need to keep your eyes on every day? And what do you need to let go of?
I love that. Yeah. And I think that social media shows up that way for people a lot too, because in the beginning, not getting the engagement, feeling like you're shouting into the void, and all of the things that go on with that can be very triggering, especially for people who have specific trauma in their childhood where they didn't feel like they were heard and stuff like that. So kind of working through your own shadow alongside of being an entrepreneur is important, but the stuff that you can't work your way through, noticing that within yourself and being able to get help, that's amazing. I mean, and I think that asking for help is probably one of the hardest parts for an entrepreneur, even when you're hiring somebody, because you have to relinquish control.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think letting go is really hard.
Yeah, it's your baby.
Yeah, and nobody's going to do it like you do it.
For sure. But in that moment, you're glad because you don't want somebody who's going to be personally attached to those numbers. So you picked exactly the right thing. That's brilliant. So what is your vision for the future of the company in the next year, 5 years, 10 years?
I just want to help as many people as possible, like grow their businesses, not give up. And, you know, I'm concerned that times are going to be tough this year. And I don't say that as like a downer. It's not, you know, like a mindset that I'm sticking with, but I know we're already seeing it. It's an election year. We're going to keep seeing it. As far as social media goes, people posting about the economy and whatnot. And I want people to make it through that and come out on the other side. And I want to help just as many small business moms as possible. I want to help them grow their business so they don't have to give up on their dream. And I want them to be able to have the freedom. And that's why you started. That's why every small business mom started, because they wanted this freedom and this to be able to spend more time with their kids, because they wanted, you know, this balance. And then they end up working 24/7 and it becomes this. That's what happened to me. And it's what I hear most often. And to be able to help them get beyond that.
That's amazing. I love that. And the regimentation that's required to get to that point. And it's funny because for me, my mindset around discipline has shifted in the past couple of months, because discipline that you usually read in a lot of these self-help books is structured by men for men, and looks exactly the same every single day. But in order to have the flexibility that I wanted from this business, that was part of the goal to be able to meet the needs of my kids, I need to know that not every day is going to look the same. And when they're on breaks, I'm not going to have the same day as when they're in school. And when they're sick or things are in upheaval, and that is one of the hardest things to let go of, because for me, discipline and regimentation meant every single day looked exactly the same. But that is not really what it is. What it truly is understanding what you must do, what would be nice to have, and structuring your time in a way that you don't feel like you're toiling in the wrong direction or speeding 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction before you've decided that you need to make an adjustment to your plan. And really taking my to-do list and blocking out the time. Because I used to look at these 100 things and think, okay, that's a reasonable to-do list, before I realized that each of them took an hour apiece and realized that there was not enough hours in a week. Yeah. So
this is my advice there. If you if you're a small business owner, then you probably have a goal of what you're trying to do. I would break that goal down. It's probably like, if you're planning out a year, we just read the book, the 12-week year, go down to 12 weeks. Like, what do you need to accomplish? Give yourself a closer deadline, because a year is too far away. If we say we want to do all of this by December 31st, then we keep giving ourselves all this time. But if we say, I want to give myself until, 12 weeks, then this deadline's closer and you're going to act with some urgency. But get your goal, decide what it is you want, whatever area of life it is. If it's, I always hear the same ones. It's grow business, fitness, like family, usually those three things are the three that I hear all the time. Set your goal and do 3 to 5 things every single day that move you towards that goal. Don't go to your to-do list and that gives us, is it dopamine or serotonin or whatever it is? Like, it gives something to mark like stuff off of a to-do list. I don't even know what it's something, you know what I mean? It feels good to mark stuff off a to-do list. So that's what we do. We start doing these things, but they're not moving the needle. It just feels good because we're marking them off the to-do list. So my advice there was, do the 3 big things. If you do your 3 big things every day, then every day you're going to do something that moves the needle. So start with those, then get to your to-do list, because the to-do list is not going anywhere. And there's always going to be hundreds. I my dryer is full of laundry right now. My washer is full of laundry. I need to sweep the floors. I've got to clean up from the Valentine's parties yesterday. I've got you know what I mean? We've got all this stuff. It's date night tonight. Me and my husband do date night every Thursday. The list goes on. We've got tournaments. One kid has a basketball tournament. The other kid has a jiu-jitsu tournament. It doesn't end. It's not going anywhere. That is not going to end. And I'm never going to be caught up. But I've got these goals. And if I want to reach them, do the 3 big things first every day.
I love that. That's amazing. And that's simple and attainable. Yeah. What is one thing that you wish everybody who doesn't run a small business, who's maybe going to be a consumer of one, would know about running a small business?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know about going down that road. Just so many things. I wish people knew that Shine and those sites were knocking off small businesses. They're stealing images from small businesses, and then they have the price way down. I think that's hard. I think that's hard on small business owners, and it's a problem. It's a big problem. And I wish that I just wish they knew how good shopping locally was for their economy, for their local economy, for the everything, for anything, their parks and their growth and everything, their schools, everything. Shopping locally is good for that. I wish they knew that just because they own a business doesn't mean they are rich and that they have endless amounts of donations to give out to people. That's a tough one for small business owners. They get asked for donations a lot, and they're sometimes they're trying to figure out how to pay their overhead for the month and make sure that they give donations for the local baseball team and the local all the organizations. And there's so many things. I could go read my Facebook page. It's all there. It's all there.
I agree with all of them. And I think one of the biggest challenges is everything is B2B and B2C. Even if you're doing business to business stuff, the education campaign of small business and making people more aware of it feels more important today than it's ever been, because of the amount of advertising money that Shein and Temu is the other one that I'm thinking of. And, any of the big box stores too they can put their name in everybody's face and make it ultimately convenient. And if they can do free shipping, but a small business needs to pay for shipping, because that really puts them in a situation where otherwise they're building it into the price anyway. And they don't have that negotiating power with the postal service to get the lowest price that all of these big ones are getting. I think that's one of the hardest parts, is making sure that people are aware of the small businesses that exist in their local space, because everybody's so busy. Just what you just talked about. We have tournaments and we have date nights and we have dishes and laundry and all of the things, plus jobs and concerns. So then thinking about and finding small businesses, I think, is really a challenge for people who are and then making it there and only getting the one thing at that store instead of everything in a one-stop shop in one of the big box stores. That's a huge mindset shift, and I just don't know how we make that work. And that's what I hope to address over the course of time.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. What's one simple way that people could support your small business, and obviously other small businesses, through supporting yours without any money?
Will you repeat that? You cut out in the beginning.
Sorry about that. What's one way, big or small, but simple, that people can support your business with no money?
Support my business?
Mm-hmm.
So I would say a great all around benefit for everybody would be to join our private Facebook group if you're a small business mom, which is Small Business Moms. We've got about 22,000 women in it, but if you have that's how everything got started. That was the community built to help women who are struggling. It's free. If you have questions on any of those things, like I told you about earlier, the shipping, how to build a website, how to do anything, you can ask there, and you're going to find somebody that has done it and that can help you. It's a very supportive group, a very engaged group, and they're really good to one another, and they help each other a lot. So I would say that is a great way that you can really, I mean, then you're in my world, but you're getting help also. So it's good for everybody.
I love that. Fantastic. And I'll make sure that wherever you're seeing this, that'll be linked in the comments somewhere so that you can pop right directly to that.
Yeah, also just Facebook and Instagram too. You'll get a lot of good content by just following those two places also.
Absolutely. And just engaging with the content, even if you don't have a small business, that's a huge way to help a small business.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we are nearing the end. I've gotten through all of my questions. You really answered them brilliantly, so quickly. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you'd like to share?
Oh man, let me just do that real fast. I'm just trying to think of any like tips that I could give, but I feel like I've kind of covered them. I don't know. Do you get my emails? If you haven't yet, the email list is another good one. So it was Super Bowl week, so everybody sees Taylor Swift everywhere and Usher everywhere, and the Chiefs and the 49ers and Reba and just everybody, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, all of them. Like that's been my entire news feed. They've been everywhere. And so my tip this week was that just to keep in mind, like not everybody likes Taylor Swift, and not everybody likes Usher, and not everybody likes the Chiefs, and not everybody likes the 49ers, and not everybody likes Reba. And my news feed is just split of people going both directions with everything. And so my tip this week was not everybody's going to like you either. And you have to keep showing up, and you have to keep posting about your business, and you have to keep doing what you're doing and not worrying about what they think. Because so often that fear of what other people think holds us back. And I don't know, Taylor Swift doesn't care if you don't like her because she's a billionaire, and none of those people care. And if they did, they wouldn't be where they're at today. And you're never going to get where you're going either if you stop and worry, and I think it's a thing that a lot of, and I don't know, I'm not saying just women or small business moms in general, but I know it's a big thing amongst them. But we're moms, we're worried about what our teachers' kids are going to, our kids' teachers are going to say, what their coaches are going to say, what their friends' moms are going to say. Like, I'm out here putting myself all over the internet. Like, what are they, what are they going to say? What are they going to say when I start showing up with an opinion and it's not what their opinion is, and, whatever. And you're not going to get where you're going if you stop and worry about all those things. And not everybody's going to like you. So I was on a training. It's right here. You guys can't see it. It's right here. Where's my hand? Right here. And I have a Post-it note that's stuck to my computer. And I was on a training a couple weeks ago, and she just said that focus on who your product and service is for, and don't focus on who it annoys. And so every time you go to put out content or do anything like that, really focus on that, because people are not, you're already annoyed. I know I annoy people, and you're already doing it, whether you try not to or not. Like, people are just not, you're not for everybody. Nobody is. So that's how I would end it. Just remember that. Go out there and be yourself, show up, be authentic. It'll make your life easier. You'll feel a lot more aligned with your vision and what you're trying to do for your business, and it'll help.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Also, I can't really understand how anybody would not like the content that you're putting out. I mean, scrolling past, if it's not relevant, fine, but you do so much to uplift other people. And I think that that's really so valuable, and we need more of that. And I love your posts about women supporting women and everything that we do in small business and supporting each other. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate all of your time, and I hope that we get an opportunity to connect soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this conversation. I will link all of the socials for Laura and Small business moms so that you have that. And please join us, not this coming week, but the week after, because this coming week we are going to take a little bit of a break because of winter break for the kiddos. And so we will be back for the end of February. We have 2 fantastic guests lined up for that. I do have one fantastic real estate agent. And then on the other side of that, we have another micro business that is coming out of a home in Mystic Beauty. I'm excited for you to be able to meet Justine and have a little bit more conversation about what she does and what makes her special. I'm so excited that I got to talk to Laura today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure that you are shopping with your local small business whenever possible. And if you can't spend any money right now, go ahead and leave a positive review for a small business. That goes such a long way. And please make sure that you are subscribed to this podcast and this channel wherever you are watching this. And I appreciate you taking the time. Thanks so much. Take care.